Thank you, Madam Contest Chair, and Oscar, thank you so much for coming to NPS Toastmasters today, being with us here, being our test speaker. It's always a challenge in the evaluation contest that when the test speaker is that good, it's really hard to come up with a credible evaluation, but we're going to give it a shot. First of all, Oscar came up here, great poise, he's dressed for success, he has a sharp suit on, and he got immediate credibility from us as a result of his presence and the way his appearance up here this afternoon. And that's the first impression that people get of you is, how do you look when you stand up here behind the lectern? And you look great. You addressed the audience silently first, you kind of looked around, got our attention. It's a trick that some people already uses that, for example, to get the audience attention. That gives you a chance to settle into the audience also, and I think it's an effective technique to use. You got our attention by starting your speech with shh, not the normal words people would start a speech with. And so I'm looking up. I'm saying, what's he going to talk about? Anyway, so I think it's very effective. Coming up here, getting started, getting us into your speech. You did all the right things to get our attention and keep our attention through the speech. This was good. Throughout your speech, your fundamentals, your Toastmasters fundamentals were impeccable. Your voice, your variety, your gestures, the pacing of your talk, all were very good. Certainly no issues at all to talk about there. You did another thing that also worked well for the most part, and that is you used the area up here for the various points you were trying to make. You were over here when you were talking about one thing, and you were over here when you were talking about something else, and you moved back and forth. And this was effective because it provided a break from point A to point B. The one suggestion I would have, though, is to make this a better speech in the future, is that break was a little bit too abrupt. It wasn't really clear where you were going with the speech. You were here talking about one thing, I was into that part of the speech, and you came over here and you started talking about the next thing, and I'm trying to figure out the transition where you were going from that point to that point. It did not connect to me several times. The very last time you did it, it did connect. You had a transition where you were talking about, am I good enough or am I loved? Or maybe it was the other way around. But the point being is that that was a good transition. We were able to follow that, but the other ones I had trouble following. So I think that was the biggest issue you had with the speech. Very minor thing at the end was so soft, and I know I'm an old guy and I'm getting hard of hearing, but I was 2 people away and I couldn't hear what you were saying. You've got to be more dynamic, get that out. My microphone is not going to pick it up. But overall, I think it was really a terrific speech. I think if you tighten it up a bit, you've got another competition speech coming up for the spring.